So I'm just like, excited about all this. It's like, okay, now what do I do with all of it? And it's like, I find there's some land opportunities, but then I like the historic part of it, and not to say you have to be like in just one area. Yeah. Well, it's funny to me because it's just about a year ago, because I had no idea who he was, that I went to a short-term vacation rental wealth conference and he was there. And I joke with him, I'm like, and you didn't even say anything. And he's like, yes, I did. I was like, you didn't. Because a lot of times, like, it's almost the mystique or of he says just enough that you're like, what was like, I don't know what that is, but like I need to know more. And that's what happened with me. And like I don't a lot of people who were there who were in the vacation rental space obviously didn't know who he was, because he was just like walking down the like he just walked out and no one knew who he was. And I went up to him and I was like, I don't want to like, because those people get bombarded. I
Yes.
just wanted to say thank you. And I didn't even know what I was like thanking him for. I was like preemptively thanking him because I didn't, but like he said, like, it was the molecules of him in the room, which is crazy, right? Or everything is energy, like pulling the right people to him, whatever it is. And then I went back to my Airbnb and I like looked him up and I started following him on social media, and they were pushing me gator stuff. And then I got on the phone and I ended up in sub 2 exec. And then right after that is when Squad Up. Did you go to Squad Up last year? Oh yeah, you
I
had
went
to.
to Squad Up. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll go to this too. And I went to that. And then they had owners. I was like, I guess I'll do that too. So, I just but it's been crazy because how long have you been in the community?
I joined in August 2022,
Oh,
almost
okay.
3 years. Yeah.
Yeah, so you've been there a little bit of a minute
Yeah.
through the journey. So,
Yes.
yeah, but I just felt like, especially going through all that and then being with owners, and so many people already knew each other and they were doing deals and they got a lot of stuff figured out. And I was just like, oh, wait, it's one of those things where it's like I know I meant to be in this room with everybody, but like how do I add value? And how do I take the things that are my background is all like building, hospitality, construction, preservation, project management, like, and you think that that would be so valuable in this community, but it's just like, how do you interject it to support other people's ventures? You know what I mean? So,
Yes.
but I found going from, because then right after that we had, well, not too long after that we had Scottsdale, and I went
Hmm.
there and I only knew like one or two people, but I knew John McAllister because he's from Philly and I'm from Harrisburg Hershey. And so he and I kind of knew each other. And then he lives very near Duran, but they didn't know each other. And so I introduced them. So having gotten to know each other through different things, I sort of became an integrator just because I didn't really have anything to offer other than like listening to someone's story. And
Well, but what about your hospitality background?
well, now it's like, okay, how do I help and support, people with that? But it's like that building up, like who am I in the community? What do I personally want? How can I help others? How can I let other people know how I can help? But I do also, and I know it's part of the how things work. I've had a couple people who I've tried to help with a couple things. Somebody that's in owners reached out to me. They had a property here in Savannah, and when they told me the price and the location, and they didn't know what their exit strategy was going to be, I was like, "Ooh, I'll buy that." And so I went over to look at it, and I'm a building preservationist by trade, so I will almost never say you should knock down a building, but this building had structural issues. Like, I come from an environmental hygiene background, so it has contamination issues. Like, it had so many issues. It had like functional obsolescence, the way it was laid out, the way it had evolved over time. And so, I went back to the person and I was like, this is what I saw. And then the friend that I said, who was a preservation architect, I consulted him and I got an engineer for this person and I referred them to the engineer. And instead of doing that, they just brought in like one of these franchises that like pumps up your house and stuff like that. And so he kept pumping up the house to the point like the walls are floating and the
Mm.
house is so like there isn't a benchmark to work towards. Like, everything is in so many different directions. So it's not like you could like pick, an elevation and say, okay, we're going to try to bring everything to this elevation. It was literally like a fun house. And so he kept wanting to sort of bring me in like as a project manager and wanted me to kind of give direction to the contractors that were there. And I was like, hang on a second. Like, if you want to hire me as a consultant, like, I'm here to help you, but I can't like stop what I'm doing and spend 4 days out of the week over there monitoring your contractor and giving direction to your contractor when I don't work for you. Like, I'm not going to take on that liability,
Mm.
especially for a project like this. So long story short, they have the house so messed up. I don't know what they're ever going to do with it. And the last time I went over to look at it, I was just like, "Oh my gosh." And I messaged him back and I was like, what was your last directive? Like, I need to know what you're telling them to do so I can tell you. I've already told you my opinion on the house, but if you want me to look at it and tell you have they done what you told them to do, you need to tell me what you told them. And I haven't heard back from him. I even referred my contractors to him, and my contractors are like, after a certain amount of time, they're like, this is not a good fit for us. So I have a couple other people who, because like a lot of areas, especially where you have waterfront and it's coastal, like you can have a house on one side of the street that's a multi-million dollar and then a blighted, neighborhood right across the street. So, um, and so many things. We have so much development and so many things are changing here. There's lots of neighborhoods to prospect in, and so a couple people have reached out to me about things. Most recently, somebody bought a property for Airbnb, and I was like, first of all, like, I wouldn't buy that property, not in that location. Um, and then for all the reasons, like why I wouldn't and what the potential uses could be, but not at that price. And I don't think they liked me telling them that. So I'm like, I guess I'll just keep being honest with people.
Yeah.
If it works, it works. If it doesn't,
Aren't the Airbnb laws changing in Savannah?
Savannah proper is very tricky. Like, so we have like our historic district, then we've got a Victorian district. So we've got kind of like districts. And in Savannah, in the city proper, there's like a layover map that tells you what you're allowed. So like in the
Mm.
historic district, you're not ever going to get, unless you buy something that already has a vacation rental certificate, you're probably not going to get one. So it like doubles the value of properties in that area that already have a pre-existing certificate. Then the other areas, it depends. Like, sometimes if it's owner occupied, sometimes it has to be like there's like a wait list of so many per area in that district. So
Mm.
every single area on the overlay map has different requirements for what is allowed and what isn't. But once you get outside of that, there's areas of what are still in the city that you can get, as long as you meet the requirements. Your taxes are paid, your trash is paid, the fire inspector comes and looks at them. And then there's county. So like my property, we have a series of islands that are on the way to Tybee Island, which is like our main beach. It's basically Georgia's main beach or whatever. Um, so that is in the county. So the county will allow that as long as you're compliant with everything that's required for the permit. So you can get your permit there. Of course, you have to pay your fee every year. Um, and then Tybee Island, which is the beach, last year they they were so like kind of caught with their pants down, I think, with the whole Airbnb, like they didn't know what to do. And I think it's such a small town that the people who were on the council were like, you know what? We're just going to put this on hold because we don't want the permanent residents to be upset for us to allow the Airbnbs to continue, but we don't want all the investors and everybody who has investment properties here to get upset with us. So they basically said no new Airbnb certificates. If you have one, you can keep it, but like if you sell your property or even if you die and try to pass it on to your relatives, you can
The
then it
other
goes
person
away.
won't get it. Yeah.
No. And but that won't fly. There just isn't enough. There aren't enough hotels there. Like that was just kicking the can down the road. But so that has changed a lot of things. There's a lot more availability of properties, and the prices have come down a lot, obviously, and we had a lot of properties on Tybee that were like cute little coastal cottages, and investors were coming in and knocking them down and building like big multi-million dollar, multi units, so that they could be short-term rentals. So it's interesting to watch it. We do have an area that's still in Tybee, but not in Tybee City, that's in the county, and there you can still get vacation rental. So there's so many little nuances, like,
Mhm.
it's so when somebody posts something, or like when I see um, somebody post a deal and they're like, it's in Savannah, it would be a great short-term vacation rental, and I look at it and I know the
It's not like
property,
that.
I know the market, and I'm like, no, 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 and I'm like, then I'll see people, especially from Owners Club, like commenting on it or saying I want more information. And I feel like am I my brother's keeper? To like I have to reach out to everybody and say, no, you don't want that property, or not at that price, or whatever the thing is, that it's a no, 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 or it's a red flag. I just feel, you feel protective and you want to help
Yeah.
everybody, but on the other hand, like,
You don't want to feel negative, right? You don't want to
yeah, and
feel.
how much of it is my business that like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm the deal police or whatever, you know what
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah, yeah. Totally agree.
So
So what about PadSplit? You told me that that's your Mount Everest, right?
yes, so I'm interested in PadSplit in several different ways. Like I have a couple properties, one in particular now that is a single family property that I'm interested in. Um, but I've also been listening to and doing so much research on kind of co-living in general, right?
Mhm.
So
Close the door.
thanks. All
Much
right.
better.
So, at first I felt a bit predatory in that, like, oh, I'm going to buy a property, especially a single family home, and I'm going to like put as many people in it as I can. And of course, like I want them to be of a certain level and a certain finish and a certain experience and all that kind of thing. But I just sort of had a little bit of that, like, you know I'm shoving people who can't afford more into the space. And then the more I've been reading and the more I've been listening to podcasts and all these other things, like I have had such an exciting shift in looking at, like, especially the European model of co-living, and America historically, the concept of co-living, and sustainability. So like you've got sustainability and the impact of like higher density living, how not everybody needs to live as a single individual in a 6,000 square foot house, like, and not everybody wants that, but there is a huge impact, right? There's an environmental impact on that, so there's
Mhm.
that. There's especially for younger people, there's a disconnect, and all these people have anxiety and depression and all these other things because people are disconnected. So co-living creates this amazing opportunity for people to be connected. And you can be in your own space and kind of be private or an introvert or do your work or whatever, but then you can also live in an environment where, say you design it even a single family house where there's some outdoor spaces. Maybe you've got some gardening stuff, or maybe you've got, just anything that you can do that promotes unity and interaction when people want to connect with each other. So you have that. Then you also have people. I think older. It's kind of bookended, like older people and younger people who want something different out of life. Maybe they don't. They don't. Younger people, I think, don't want to necessarily collect all the stuff, and older people want to downsize. And so they want more experiences in life. They don't want to be putting all their money into, a huge house and, a John Deere riding mower and, all the things that people, perhaps especially Americans, wanted before. They want to travel. So they want to be in a smaller space and they want to be devoting their time to having these experiences. So they're not as material centric, they're experience centric. And then we've been finding a lot. I have some carriage houses that we converted from short-term rentals to mid-term rentals because I was sort of flying under the radar with that it was in an area that wasn't supposed to be short term, but like I turn them off during the day and I turn them on. Well, they was getting to the point where we were going to get caught for that and they were going to have heavy fines, and I was like, this isn't worth it anymore. So let's convert them to midterms. And the majority of people that we have are these people who travel for,
Hmm.
either travel for work or they're traveling because, the sort of digital nomad where
Hmm.
people for work are coming to a place, they're experiencing it, and, maybe sharing it, whether they're social media content creators or whatever they are, they're coming for a period of time, and then they're moving on to somewhere else. So you have a
Hmm.
lot of people now, I'm finding, for midterm rentals that want that, in a positive way, transient sort of experience where they come, and especially here in Savannah, like, so many people want to come here and have the experience. And you really have to be like, it's great to come for a weekend or come for a week, but you can't really immerse yourself in everything we have here when you're here for that short of a time. So looking at I think all those things, I was like, wow, how cool. Like, how cool is co-living? I know there's some larger companies, and many of them I think are intercontinental, but they have these like a complexes that they'll build, and maybe for those complexes they'll have different things. It's like in the common area, like we have yoga and we have, those type of things because it's a larger facility which offers more amenities. But it's almost like a membership. So you can come and stay at my place in Savannah, but maybe you want to then go to Puerto Rico, or maybe you want to then go to Costa Rica, or maybe you want to go to Italy, or wherever in Istanbul, like wherever you want to go. They have, so that's like the big corporate end of things. But when you look at co-living from all the different positives, um, I think both at a local level and in people like me originally, our mindset is like that co-living is potentially like a negative thing. It's because people can't afford stuff anymore, and it's like
Yeah.
workforce or lower level
Yeah, I
kind of
hear you.
people. And like I'm just like excited by what I'm seeing. I also called Ann McNamara the other day because my undergraduate degree is in building preservation and architectural modeling, right? So I love old buildings. So I'm like, how cool would it be to be able to do adaptive reuse projects where you're using old buildings or an old factory or some sort of historic property and do an adaptive rehab project? And that goes into two, revitalizing areas like she was talking about, where, like a little town somewhere that you can sort of create this whole new Main Street area and infuse it economically. Um, and the sustainability, like you're not building new buildings, you're using pre-existing structures, you can make them super cool. And then there's some ladies that I've gotten connected with who are from out in California through Alexis Morgan. She actually referred them to me just because I'm here in Savannah, but they're actually taking kind of C and D grade hotels and turning them into co-living. Now they're doing theirs for workforce
Nice.
housing. But that's another untapped opportunity too, is doing, hotel conversions. So like I'm just so excited, but it's like, okay, now I got all the ideas and I've got some properties. Now it's like, okay, how do I fund them, or who do I partner with, or how do I make it more than just something that's on paper? Like, how do I actually do the moving forward, take action kind of thing? So, since I knew you had said you had, been doing some co living thing, I wanted to get all your thoughts on all that.
You know that when I bought the first property that I bought it from another operator that he was mismanaging the property. It was a hedge fund. They were actually offloading more than 200 co-living properties in the Atlanta metro area.
Wow.
And I bought one from them, which, to be honest, when I bought it, the property has 10 rooms. When I bought it, the property had only five tenants, and in 2 months, we stabilized the property. We hit 90% occupancy rate, and since then, it's been a cash cow property. To be honest, I don't have any purpose, let's say, on this property. For me, it's only a cash cow, but because it was my first one. I just wanted to, before raise capital, before to partner up with other people, I just wanted to go through the process myself and, understand the business model, understand everything.
The test
And
case
then
a little. Yeah.
Yes, and then, once I feel like comfortable because I'm the one that, stabilize the property, hire my people, etc., I can partner up or raise capital or do other things with other people. So the other day in the Atlanta Sub 2 meetup with Pat and Chris, I met a
Mhm.
guy. He owns PadSplit and he works for PadSplit as well. And I love what he's doing. He has, as far as I remember, he has six properties. And he said that he's doing kind of like a live group with all the tenants every month in each properties. When they sit down, they share, their frustrations, their all the things that they're going through. And he's helped them out, with maybe some knowledge, experience, mental things, whatever, it's kind of like a shared space that you can open yourself and share ideas and those kind of things. So he says, I'm doing very well, business wise, because these people I created on purpose. I created like a family in the past, in the property, itself. They feel like sisters and brothers. They feel comfortable because I created this environment that they can open this themselves and share ideas, share their frustrations and so on. And so when he mentioned that to me, he was telling me, I have a good business model that is, I'm printing out money, but at the same time I'm giving purpose in other people's life. And that was like,
Yes.
oh, that's cool. I never thought about that. But now hearing the ideas that you have, it's cool that you can, create or buy a property and create, generate some income, but at the same time give someone else purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and thinking about it too, depending on what level it is, like in talking to Anne, it's like, well, you could buy, I mean, some of these towns, like you could buy up the whole Main Street, but it's like you could, and even in a smaller house, like I have a friend who does, like I was saying, yoga, or I have a girlfriend who does cooking classes. Like you have different people that you could bring
Hmm.
in, and then you could
Hmm.
help, and bring together other local businesses or other local entrepreneurs that, create these things. Like it's just such a cool,
Which is
exciting.
cool.
Yeah.
It's cool because besides having a roof to live in, you have other activities or things that you can be involved with, and and it's fun at the same time, as from the tenant's perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. And like within any community, I mean, just like we started this conversation talking about the fact that the more you get to know people and the more you sort of
Mhm.
peel back layers and the more time you spend together, the more you get to, learn and know about that. And like, I just think about the things that people can teach each other, their experiences, their travels, their hobbies, their ups and their downs, their highs and their lows. It's just like it's just a really cool thing. I think if it's done right, and I don't think it is one of those things where I think sometimes somebody was talking to me. Who was I talking to? Oh, when I was talking to Anne, she was talking about there was a company called Rome, like Rome around, not like the town of
Okay.
Rome, and it sounds like it was one of those larger corporations that had a whole bunch of them, but it sounded like it was a one size fits all model, which I don't think you can do. You have to be more proactive, I would think, and more identify like who your guests or tenants are, like what their needs and interests are, where you are from a locality standpoint. I mean, that makes a big deal. And I think it can't be, there has to be a warmth and a richness to it. It can't be like institutionalized. Like it can't be
Mhm.
like a
Yeah.
group home or,
Yeah.
an old folks home or something like that. Like there has to be a warmth and you Nicholas said to me the other day, we were working on something on a property, and he said to me, he goes, "I hate that some people just see a house as a place to live." And I was like, I love that. Like that's so cool, like I'm doing something right if that's the way he looks at it. Now, it might not be the greatest, as a real estate investor, but for me, especially as a building preservationist, I'm interested in the story of the property, like the people who've lived there, the materials, the craftsmen, like all those things that give it life. Like I could never be a flipper who comes in and tears everything out and puts something new into it because I love the original hardware. I love the original doors. I love, doing a property search and finding out who lived here. I love when flowers come up in the springtime and you're like, oh, somebody planted those, from their heart. Things like that are so, in the context, like the sense of place. So obviously it's a lot more work, but I think the rewards are going to be so much greater, and your tenant retention is going to be so much stronger when people live in a place with people where they want to stay, you know?
Which, at the end of the day, I mean, in my case, one of the thoughts that I have is that I don't want to get to certain age in my life and someone asks me what you have done in this life. I don't want my answer to be I have made a lot of money. I would like to have an answer like I impacted a lot of people's life. Because at the end, it's about people. I mean, I want to make money, of course, but
Right,
at
right.
the end, I don't want to have an empty purpose in life, if that makes sense.
It's an empty treasure chest, right?
Yes,
Like
yes.
it's full of money but nothing
Yeah,
else. And the
yeah,
things that I think when you sacrifice, the money for the deeper parts of it, like it leaves you feeling empty. Like you can't have enough money to fill that void, right?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, so and like you had that post the other day. I think when you instill that mindset and the skills that we're talking about in our kids, like you're doing good for the world. You're doing good for, the generations to come, that you've, created those kind of humans who want to go forward in that giving kind of spirit.
Yeah. We're creating a legacy, not only in our kids, but also in other people's life.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. I mean, and what's more important than where you live? You know, like your home is your,
Yeah.
that's your sense of peace, or your, where you can go and or be yourself. And I mean, home is so important, right?
Yes, it
So,
is.
so if we can create that. So I'm just like, excited about all this. It's like, okay, now what do I do with all of it? And it's like, I find there's some land opportunities, but then I like the historic part of it, and not to say you have to be like in just one area of it. But like I said, so I would like to move. So I have some single family homes and some smaller multifamilies. Um, but I would like to follow the, Pace's model of the other people's money kind of thing. Like this coming into the community and me feeling like I don't have to do, like I've always done creative deals either by necessity or opportunity like my whole life. So that's not a shift, but the idea that um I can get paid to do my part in things, as well as I don't have to bring all the upfront money. I don't have to bring all the, renovation capital and startup capital on all that. So that's kind of like I have the ideas, I have the, design and operations and all that, but it's what do I do as far as figuring out the funding parts of it? Like I
Have you
need to pay.
considered to pitch the deal with Matt Sorson and Pace in the what was the name? The Deal Fest is the name? No, it's not the Deal
Oh
Fest.
yeah, um
Deal Maker, Deal
deal
Maker.
maker. I was gonna say deal fest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I haven't. You think that would be a good thing to do?
I mean, well, because it seems to me that you're looking for funds, right? And Pace is willing to funds. I mean, if you notice the first one that they did, I think that Pace funded all the
I
deals.
was gonna say he funded all of them. Yeah.
Yeah,
I should hit up Matt and see what his
yeah.
experience with that was. But yeah, that was pretty exciting to see that. Now,
You
I
know that
have
I
to.
feel that Pace has the kind of like a commitment with us, and he has money, but at the same time, I feel that the way because the other day I was thinking, I mean, and maybe it's just me, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but he didn't have to fund all the deals, but he did it. So I'm wondering, I think that he has a lot of money available, he's liquid, and at the same time, he has the commitment, to with us, with Owners Club
Yeah,
to help us out.
yeah, for sure. Well, that's what I was thinking, especially, I guess start small with some of these smaller ones and the single family ones I have, and look more into the stuff with the adaptive reuse. That's a little bit more challenging, finding the right structure and the right location and all of that kind of thing. But um, yeah, just maybe underwrite a couple of them. And I have to get on a call with Christian because I have been doing, Julian. Do you know Julian Rizov?
Hmm.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
oh
Yep.
yeah, you probably know him from Atlanta too. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm working a couple of loans with him right now.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I've done like the fix and holds with him. But I've brought the down money, and then obviously with the fix and flip, I use my own money, which then, I get the draws back out of it. But a lot
You
of
know
it.
that now that you mentioned that, because that's another idea. That's the one that I'm applying now. With a fix and flip loan, you don't have to bring all the money, just the 10%.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so basically, let's say what was the average purchase price on a distressed property in your area?
Oh, a distressed property? I mean,
Yeah.
it can be anywhere from 150 to $2 million, depends on
Well,
the
I mean,
property.
for a pass flip, let's say.
Oh, for a okay, does it have to be distressed? Like the one I'm looking at now, it's actually an estate. They want 499 for it, but I'm thinking about offering them 450. It's been on the market for a while. I mean, there's a reason for it, but it needs very little rehab. I'm thinking no more than 30,000, and then
What
it
was the
will.
ARV? If you would have flip it,
Well,
not pass split.
that's where I have to look at the ARV a little closer on it. I need to underwrite it a little more deeply, because where it is, it's 1.28 acres, so it's a much larger lot. So I have to do some adding and subtracting for that, and most of the properties that are there are single family homes, and so they do not have 6 bedrooms. They're 3 2s, that kind of thing. So this property already has the garage converted. It has a living room and a dining room that can be converted into rooms, but then it already still has a kitchen and a dining and sort of a family room area. So, and then I could build, since it's 1.2 acres, I could build additional like ADUs on it. So I have to get tight on the numbers. I know that's not giving you the answer.
No, it's okay. I have an idea. I'm gonna show you something that I've been uh working on, and that maybe could solve potentially your funding situation. Let me see. I have a calculator here, but let me do something more easier to digest. Let me share my screen. So this is what I'm working on right now. Because the deal, well, I'll give you more context. Can you see my spreadsheet?
I can.
Okay, I'll give you why I'm doing this. So the password that I purchased, I bought it for 245, right? This is the purchase price. But because it was a turnkey password already, I needed to come up with the DSCR loan, right? And the
Right.
loan to value, it was 75%. So 75% out of the 245, I needed to come up. Well, I did something wrong. 75, 75%. Well, I needed to come up with the difference, 25%.
And what was the ARV on it? Now you were doing an ARV as a single family, or is it a multi-unit?
Yeah, as a single family, but this is the thing. I needed to come up with 25% plus closing costs. I ended up putting down like 30% total, 25 plus 5% closing costs, something like that, like 73 grand. Okay, cool. So when I bought it, then I was like, okay, what if I do instead of buying a turnkey property or pass split in this case, what if I buy a distressed property? And it doesn't have to be distressed. The key here is that the purchase price
It's
or
30% under.
the spread between the purchase price and the ARV is huge enough to do this, to do let's say that you're buying, and this is, I'm making up the numbers here. Let's say that you're buying a property for 200, right? And the property needs rehab. And always, pretend that you're doing a flip, even that at the end you're going to do a pass flip. So pretending that you're going to do a flip, let's say that, once the property is ready to sell on the retail market, you can sell it for 400, let's say. So now, so now you can come up with a fix and flip loan, meaning that the lender will give you a 90% loan to value. So you'll need to come up only with 20%, 10%. So meaning that you will close with 20 grand and closing costs. It's about 25, $26,000, let's say, that you need to come up at the closing table. So, and the lender will give you not only the 90%, but also the 100% of the rehab. So let's say that the property needs, again, I'm making the numbers up here. So let's
Yeah.
say that you need only 70 grand on the rehab, right? Who covers that? The lender. You don't have to put that, right? Um, so now you're all in 270. So, but the property now worth 400, right? So now you refi out of those 400 and you can get a 8% loan to value loan at 320, meaning that you pay off your fix and flip loan for
Yeah.
270, and you have your pocket $50,000. Well, you don't pocket that because you can use this money now to convert it into PadSplit and buy the
Right.
furniture. And
Yep.
essentially, you're getting a free house.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's what I'm working on right now.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Because with this 50 grand, I get back my originally $20,000 that I put on the table, and now I have 30 grand to drywalls the unit that I need to add or
Mm-hmm.
turn into PadSplit and buy the
Yeah.
furniture,
Furnish.
and
Yeah.
essentially I'm getting a free PadSplit or a free house.
Yes. Excellent. Yeah.
Hopefully I didn't confuse you with the numbers.
No, not at all. That's perfect. Yeah. And that's what I've been um thinking about, that I really have to strongly underwrite it to see what the ARV will be,
Mm-hmm.
because I know where the cash flow is going to be on the other end. I just have to figure
Mm-hmm.
out the how to, do the purchase end of it. Because it is an estate, I'm not sure if the trustee will allow them to go down 50K, but it's also been for sale for 172 days or something.
I mean, probably they might have pain, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's a brilliant way to do it, right?
Yeah, I think that the key is if that property ARV it's maybe 700, maybe 800. I don't know. I have to run the numbers. You have a nice spread to do this strategy
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So
because you
that's
will
on
need
my,
to come up only with what was the purchase price? 500 or 40 450?
they want 499, but I was thinking of offering 450.
So let's say 450. So with the fixed flip loan, you will come up only with $45,000 and closing costs.
Yeah.
And the lender cover not only the acquisition but also the 100% of the rehab costs.
Of the rehab. Yeah. And as Julian said to me, the last one I did, I'm so used to like trying to have like affordable budgets. You know what I mean? Like I'm always very thrifty with my budgets. And he's like, no, this is where you pad the budget. Like you pad the budget here, not because I was thinking, oh, then I'll get it when I do the refinance because the DSCR is gonna be for higher. And he's like, no, you're not, so that was the mistake I made on the last one, is that I was being thrifty with my, scope of work budget. So,
He told me though that he has a product, it's a new product that he's lending 85% loan to value on the DSCR.
oh, really?
That'll be amazing because if I can get a fix and flip loan just to rehab the property, right? And then refi at 85%, I will have a lot of money, at that point to turn it into PadSplit, buy furniture, and probably have maybe 5, 10 grand extra, to have it in the bank account as a, savings or emergency
Collateral
savings account.
funds.
Yeah.
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 I'm trying to figure out too how I can use equity. I mean, I don't know if my only option with that is like home equity loans, because I've got tons of equity in
Yeah. You,
properties.
but you will do it to buy it or to only get or put the $10,000 down. I mean, the 10% down.
I don't know. Like my original mind in my not my original mindset, but like I used to be one of those like own everything free and clear, like everything. Like I bought cars,
Me
cat like
too.
I bought everything
Me
cash.
too.
Like I don't want to own any money on anything. And now I'm like, well, that was stupid, so now I'm trying to change my mindset. But that's one of the things, um, like how can I use, like I have a property that I bought for 490 that's worth over $1 million.
But it's free
So
and clear or it has a loan.
free and clear.
Well, if it is free and clear, it's different because I wanted to say if you have a loan, you can get a second loan in second position, but the interest rate will be higher. So it would be better to get a fix and flip loan and buy with this strategy that I just mentioned right now.
Yeah,
But if the property is free and clear, you can get a DSCR out of it and buy the new one cash essentially, right?
yeah.
I
So
mean, I
have
guess that
you
you'll need to do the math in both ways because I don't the trigger or the not the trigger, but the key point here is that the property is free and clear. So you can get a loan at 7%, but if you buy the new and you buy the new one cash, but if you get a fix and flip loan, it's gonna be at 11%, but that's annualized. So 11% divided by
yeah,
12. So basically it's 92%. I mean 0.92 monthly. So it's all depend on how fast or how quick you can fix it up, right? So let's say that it
yeah,
takes 3 months. So basically it's 275. It's not a big deal. So I think that both ways are good.
yeah, makes sense. Yeah. So I'm just excited about all of it and excited for like I didn't know that you did the co-living stuff until you were on the I guess that was on the Atlanta call. Was that the Atlanta call? Or was that when we were
The
doing deal
Oh
cell
yeah,
stuff? I
yeah, yeah,
can't
yeah, yeah.
remember.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it's just there's certain people that I know they do co-living, but it seems like there's so many other people that like we just don't know. I almost feel like we need a directory. I know we're gonna have our own Discord channels and that kind of thing for it seems like that's more for the just like general sub two people, but it would be nice if we had sort of a directory of people's, areas of expertise or operation that we could pull from those a little bit more easily.
Yeah, and the reason why is because I like high cash flow deals. I don't want like these, $200 net
I hear
cash
that
flow
all the
deals.
time where people are like, and it makes $200 or $400 a month. I'm like, $400 a like what? I
I
wouldn't
don't I don't I
even.
don't want that.
I would not waste a moment of energy on that.
Yeah.
You know.
And I don't want to do fix and flips either because I'm a business owner, I own a business. I don't need more cash. For me, makes more money is more headache, more. Let's say I need to battle with inflation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm looking to create more. I prefer cash flow. I don't mind to do a fix and flip. I'm doing one in Atlanta right now, but in that case, it was because it was the only exit strategy that made sense.
Hmm.
Uh, but but it's not my thing. I'm looking for high cash flow deals, and I'm doing midterm rentals, and I'm doing co-living and multifamily. These are the three asset class right now that are generating the most cash flow.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm super spoiled on my short-term vacation rental, like especially my main one. That's the property I own free and clear, and it makes me 100. It's not optimized. I'm working on that. But makes me like 120,000 a year. So sometimes I think, ooh, maybe I should sell that and do something with that million
No, don't do
dollars.
that,
But
especially if the property is free and clear.
I know. But so I'm like, no, 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 no.
You know
But
that I got a lesson, and then listening pace. It was like a confirmation. The other day I was invited to speak at an event, and they wanted me to. The event, it was about wholesaling and fix and flip, and the host says, "I want you to explain them, but these are guys that are doing fix and flip, and they aren't buying anything. So explain them why it's important to buy properties and create wealth over time. Okay, cool. So what I did, I took the three properties that I started off in the very beginning in 2012. I took the addresses and I told them, guys, first property, I bought it in Tampa. I bought it for 46 grand. That was in 2012. I rented it out. I made some, decent money for the next 3 years. And then I sold it for 75. Cool. This is what I made. And I did the same exercise for the three properties that I bought in the very beginning. So between the three of them, I made 100 grand. So I was like, that's good. It's good money. Okay, cool. So let's say let's
I know where you're
see
going.
let's see what was the price that these properties were sold last thing that they, the seller sold it. And when I look at the in Zillow, the prices that this property were
The
sold.
Zestimates and all that, yeah.
Oh my God. I was like, guys, this property, I lost, well, not lost, but I never saw,
You didn't
the
realize.
benefit. I didn't realize $1 million in equity only in three properties. I wouldn't, and I told them right away, I can't do, and I won't do the same math with all the properties that I sold in my entire life, because easily I can tell you that I didn't realize more than $10 million in profit in
Yeah,
equity.
soul crushing, right?
And I was like, and then I heard Pay saying, I'm not selling anything because, this is a long-term game. And I
Yep.
was like, I'm not going to sell anything. There's no reason why, unless, there's an emergency or something that, we have
Yeah.
to deal with.
Well, and when you look at it, if it's cash flowing, you can depreciate it, you get
Yeah.
income off of it, and it's appreciating. So that's why
Yeah.
it's like I don't want to
No.
sell anything, you
And if
know?
you need money, you can get a loan out of the properties, right? You
Yeah.
don't have to sell them.
Yep. If you bought them right. Yep. Exactly. Yep. So, and I love the prospecting part of it, like I'm sitting in one of our fix and holds right now, that we're finishing up. And it's like, I bought it in beginning of November and it's appreciated by like $45,000. And I bought it 30,000 under. So I bought it 30,000, well, more than 30,000 under value, and then it's appreciated by 40,000. Now I just put 30,000 into it, but like it's appreciated that much in those couple months. Like
Yeah.
I got my renovation in it, and that's not
Hmm.
even what it will probably be have appreciated. The ARV is over $1,000 or $100,000 more than, so I got it 30 under. I put, 40 into it, and it's going to be at least 100 over, from you know, the top of not the 30 under. You know what I mean? So, so I probably have $150,000 in equity after the renovation, in those couple months. So, and everybody's fighting over
Which is
themselves
amazing.
for properties here. Yeah, why would I? I could sell this and make that $150,000, but why would I do that when it's a pre? And I'm in at the ground level of the renovation in this area. So to look at what things are selling for, like I look at what I could have bought this house for a year ago or a year and a half ago, and I'm like, oh, I should have, because I said in this area, I was like, yeah, I would probably never, like, I would never really buy in this area, which is sort of silly because it's right next to a really great area. But I just sort of wrote off this sort of area and this section. And then the area I bought in is the area that is right next to the really good area. So it's like, it's creeping because everybody that can't afford to be in now the really good area is looking right next to it. So all the fix and flippers are fighting over stuff, in this area and even a little further out from this area. But it's just going to keep creeping. And I can see the area that it's going to creep to, and I understand why, because I understand this market. I can see where it's going to go to and why. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, why would
Just
I
that is a
why would I
reason
ever sell
to
it?
keep it. Yeah.
Yeah, yep, no way.
Yeah.
So, and that other house too is in a great location. I know, a lot of people are like for co-living, like look in C and D neighborhoods, but that's in a high C or a B neighborhood. I don't want stuff where there's gonna be high crime. I don't want to be like,
Yeah.
I don't want tenants that are gonna be, whatever.
Yeah.
Like I know for a lot of people that works, but if I can get, you know, a
I
different
think
level.
that for me, C is like the perfect spot. It's not the war zone, but at the same time, it's not too expensive like the B asset
Yeah.
class.
Yeah. And it's good people and people that take care of stuff
Yeah,
and people who pay their bills
yeah,
and all
yeah,
that kind of thing. So,
yeah.
yeah. And a lot of the C areas are areas that are in the come up, you know?
Exactly.
So, so
Yeah,
anyway.
I agree. Love it.
Yes.
So I have to jump off, but
Yes, I was gonna
yeah,
say,
thank
did I
you.
keep you longer? Thank you
No, it's
for
okay.
letting me vent my excitement and learn from what you've got going on. It's really exciting.
No, I really love it. Let me know how it goes. I would love to see the journey. And if there's any, if you need, any help from my end, let me know. I'm here,
Yeah.
I'm here to help and support you.